They started me off at a six-figure salary. So I thought to myself, wow, I have made it. And the first day on the job, I realized that I was like, this is not what I want to do. Like, I'm going to have to do this for the next 40 years and then retire. Like, I quickly saw the timeline of what my life was going to be like. And that feeling is not a great feeling. We were immigrants. My parents didn't speak any English whenever they arrived to the United States, so they had to find their way in this world and pay for their kids. And we were very spiritually rich, but materialistically very poor. So money was always a topic of conversation and always a source of anxiety for my family. So for me, that really gave birth to the desire to be financially stable. So I was always good at math. I was always good at sciences. I preferred math and science over English and literature because there was a definitive answer, and I really appreciated that. And so I pursued engineering. My grandpa was a pilot for many years, and he used to bring me to the airports, and I was always fascinated with aeronautics, with planes. And so my original intention was to become an aeronautical engineer. And when I went to college, there was no degree for that. So I switched to the next best thing, which was mechanical engineering. So I got my degree in mechanical engineering. But what's interesting though, is that I never really felt a strong connection to it. It was purely coming from the place of what position or what career can I have that's going to provide that security, that financial stability, because I didn't want to be in the position that I witnessed growing up so much.
Yeah. And I think that's so interesting because I feel like if most of us looked at what we pursue, it comes from a pain we had in our childhood or our past. When was it where you started to realize, why am I pursuing this? That maybe that was only because you didn't have money growing up. But when was that moment where you were like, I don't think this is what I really want to do?
The first day on the job.
Really? Like that quick?
Yeah.
What was the reason?
So originally when I was engineering, I wanted to get into renewable and sustainable energy, and that was my goal. And then I had all these job offers after I was graduating and ended up going with the highest offer, which was oil and gas. So it was completely contradictory to what I originally intended on doing. So I sold out, not ashamed to say it. And what I found was that, they started me off at a six-figure salary. So my first year at 22, 23, I was making like 150 grand a year. And I thought to myself, wow, I have made it. Like, I remember crying when I got the offer, because I was like, wow, I finally made it. I can take care of my family now. And the first day on the job, I realized that I was like, this is not what I want to do. Like, I'm going to have to do this for the next 40 years and then retire. Like, I quickly saw the timeline of what my life was going to be like. And that feeling is not a great feeling, because I had just dedicated 5 years to getting my degree and had an incredible amount of debt. And I just stuck through it. I lived with that for 5 years before I finally built up enough courage to leave that career and pursue something that was more meaningful for me. But it took me 5 years of really suffering with that and living with that to finally create enough discomfort for me to be like, you know what, money is not everything. And I really feel like I have a deeper purpose, and I feel like I can make a greater impact in the world and be of better service to people by leaning into this thing that I had been doing on the side, which was basically teaching people how to be vegan and in shape.
A lot of people feel that way, where they have something that's calling them, something that's pulling them towards it, but then they push it away because something feels more realistic or something else feels like the right thing to do. And it's amazing that you noticed it on day one.
For me, it was always the lucrative, like what can provide the most money, and I will endure whatever I need to provide. And I'm not saying that money's not important. Everybody has to provide for themselves, and everybody's in different situations. And for me personally, engineering just really clearly, it was clear to me that it wasn't energizing me. It was very much draining me. So going to work every day was not something I looked forward to. I looked for reasons to leave. I was constantly distracted about the other life that I had wanted for myself. And I used to think that doing something that you love and making money were mutually exclusive.
Same.
I didn't know that you could marry the two. And now I believe that I define career as a profitable source of pleasure. So doing something that I love first and foremost, you will every time get really good at it. And when you're good at anything, you can master it and you can teach it to others. And I never once in a million years thought that I would be doing what I'm doing, but I did it just on the side for free because it brought me that much joy and fulfillment just for myself. And once I started to see the ripple and the curiosity from other people and thought to myself, wow, I can really make a difference in somebody's life just by sharing how I'm living. And that's when I really found the conviction to say, you know what? This is something that I want to pursue. Even if it doesn't make sense logically, I'm going to listen to my heart for once because I've been listening to my brain this entire time. I'm going to drop in and listen to my heart and what my gut is telling me. My gut is telling me to pursue this, to follow this.
I want to know how you survived the 5 years, because I love that answer that you knew it on the first day, but you had to survive and suffer for 5 years. I think that's very, very real because you're in your head trying to figure that out. Like, how did you deal and cope with those 5 years?
When you live that way, obviously you find escape, right? There's ways to escape. And thankfully my escape was the gym. And anytime I would get off work,
that's a good escape though.
It was a great escape for me.
And
I would go to the gym and I would really just find peace. And it was like my therapy. I would go to the gym and I really do love training. I love the art of learning how this vessel works and how I can really optimize the movements and how it feels and just really sink into the process of developing my physical self. And what I learned in that process was how many benefits mentally there are as well, because it requires discipline, it requires sacrifice, it requires intention and attention to detail. So that's where I really found enjoyment, was really in the process of learning how to develop my physical self. And as far as dealing with, the 5 years, I had thought about quitting. I mean, I also am a realist and knew that I had to provide for myself, and I would also be giving up a very good opportunity and didn't have the clarity of what that next thing would be. And all the while I was doing this other thing. It was right in front of me the whole time, but I needed to really find that path. Like, I needed the contrast of doing something that I didn't like doing, because that gave me the clarity to find something that I really did. So I don't regret anything in my life that was painful or challenging, because it's really shaped who I am today and given me the opportunity to have the clarity to pursue the things that really resonate with me.
You're constantly collecting experiences and then you're bringing them together, rather than like, I found this one thing and everything before this was a waste of time.
Yeah, I believe in this like inclusion-based universe where everything is happening for your benefit. Every experience that you go through is happening for you, and you can be the beneficiary, even if some very challenging times. And I believe that from the soul's perspective, we call in these experiences so that we can develop the strength or the resilience or the perspective to transcend them. So when I look back at my childhood, although it had its moments of beauty and so much beauty in my life, there was also so much challenge and strife as well. And I see those moments now as what really shaped me and primed me for what I'm doing today. Because at one point, the thing that I was most ashamed of is the thing that I really lead with now. So just remembering that in any time of challenge, that this is teaching you something, and in some time, maybe you can't see it right there, but you are the beneficiary of this challenging moment. And it will allow you to keep growing. It's like, there's so many parallels between the gym and life. It's like you're under the bar doing squats, and it's very, very uncomfortable. You want it to stop. You want to drop the weight. You're like, no more, I can't handle any more. And then you push through. And on the other side of that, you develop the strength and the resilience, and your body adapts and you grow so that you can handle that plus some the next time. So that's the way that I really try to approach any challenge these days, is like, okay, bring it on. I accept the challenge because I called this experience into my life so that I could transcend it.